Right, hello everybody. So this is one of those extra bonus episodes I thought I'd throw in, and bear with me because I know seem to have done a lot of BSA stuff in the last couple of weeks. This will be the last BSA bit that I do for a while, I promise. But I thought it was interesting to look at this, and obviously I'm talking about the Thunderbolt because I'm really interested in this bike. But one thing I found really curious, and what puzzled me, I thought, surely that Bsa haven't sort of been sitting there designing this bike and it's sort of, come out of nowhere. So I did a little bit of digging and I found this. Yeah, so the YEZDI Adventure 2025, which when you look at it and around, it looks quite a lot like this, doesn't it? Well, and there's a reason for that. Because it's so YEZDI is a company that comes under the umbrella of the classic I have to keep stopping the film there because I can never remember. I'm always calling it Moto Legends, but it's Classic Legends, isn't it? Classic Legends. So YEZDI comes under the Classic Legends banner or the group of bike names, let's call it that. So you've got a Classic Legends, so you've got Jawa, you've got YEZDI, and you've got Bsa in there. And this is one of the YEZDI bikes under the Classic Legends. So when you now look at the that bike, the YEZDI, the Adventure 2025 has been out this year. Not been out for a great deal of time, only a few months. And basically, what they've done with that bike, and they make no apology for that. And I've seen some of the reviews or the overviews in India on this bike because it's manufactured in India, and how similar it is to the 411 Himalayan, the Enfield. And it is, because basically it's got the same wheelbase, the same seat height, the same ground clearance and everything. So they followed in the first instance, and I don't think they make any apology for this because it's such a successful bike, is that they followed the Chinese method of manufacture, haven't they, in this area? They've just got some tracing paper. It's not just the Chinese that do that. So, and when you look at the bikes side by side like this, you'll see how similar they are. I mean, they're carbon copies, aren't they? But where most Classic Legends have been clever is that they've given it that update, or those updates that I think people that bought the 411 or were fans of the 411 really wanted. Same as me, as everybody else. So although they've given it a smaller capacity engine at 335, they've upped the power. And I think the way that the engine delivers its power is much better than the 411, in my view, having been a 411 owner twice. And of course it's water cooled, so you can use higher compressions and stuff like that. So what an interesting concept. Isn't this going to be a really, really interesting battle? Now when you look at the press on this, and the owner of Classic Legends has written this basically, which I'm showing you now, you can see where they're going with this. But it's got those improvements over the Himi, like the increase in power. It's got a more up-to-date dash. I love the old Himi dash. I think that was one of the best sort of real analog style, isn't it, of an adventure bike. How cool is that? Quite utilitarian, but just really cool with the compass and everything. But it's updated it and given it that sort of, it's a funny part digital screen. It's a fairly big screen, but it's only got certain sections in it. It's not, the whole screen doesn't operate, I think, which makes it quite interesting from that point of view. But I think they've given it's got traction control. Obviously it's got ABS, so it's got a few little settings on there. But when you look at the grips and the switch gear, you can see the heritage from the Jawa and how they're producing bikes using, from the parts bin, from all the stuff that they've got. And you see some of the parts from the Bantam, and obviously the major one being the engine. Now the engine looks slightly different. The block is the same. Oh, the cylinder heads actually look the same, but the crankcases, they've redesigned those on there. Although I think that was first. I think the Bantam came after this, so that was sort of first. So what an interesting prospect that is. It looks good. It looks good with the luggage on it, and I think where they've changed it with the BSA, where they put that sort of cowling on the front, I was going to call it a fairing cowling. They've given it a more purposeful look, or a more modern look, haven't they, to give it the look of the sort of modern rally style bikes, like the Teneres and those sort of things, which I think is where the market has sort of gone a little bit. So they've been very clever in that. But in this picture, you can see how, you know, you can see its underpinnings, can't you, in this picture? So, but the other really interesting point about this bike is the price. Now, there's been no price release in the UK for this bike, but that YEZDI in India is about 2.14 lakh, which works out, you know, similar pricing to the Bantam. So there's every chance that that bike could be £4,000, you know, or, you know, I think they might push it to 4.5. I said originally 4,995. I think if they get it anywhere under that, anywhere, say if they get it to 4.5, that thing's going to sell like hotcakes. It really is. Therein lies the other problem, isn't it? Now, I've looked at the feedback in India, and I know it's difficult to measure the two, whether we're in the UK, but they are having issues with spares back up and that sort of thing. But hopefully, I think I'm getting the impression that more BSA dealers are coming back into the market. A lot fell out, didn't they? A lot just said we're not going to do BSA because of the problems from the Gold Star. But I think they're starting to come back because they can see there's probably not a lot of profit, but there's obviously bikes to be turned over with that Bantam. And I think with this one, I think a lot of dealers are going to really come back into the market for BSA. But when you look at those videos I've got on there, I mean, it does look good. It does look really good. And they're obviously shouting about it, aren't they, with the, you know, how good it is. All right, it's the owner of Classic Legends, but it's sort of a little bit too late to catch the main market of that. You're sort of trying to now catch a market which the Hemi dominated, but because that Hemi is now going out of production, it's sort of going to fill that gap, isn't it? And I think there is a gap for a small, slightly utilitarian but with a modern twist adventure bike. God, I can't wait. I've emailed BSA and asked, I don't know how, I've no idea how these things work, to ask them to get onto their sort of press things, you know, and said, please, you know, when it comes out, can I get a go? Because that's going to be in high demand, I think, really is. And I think, having tried that Bantam engine with its sort of 30 horsepower, I think it's going to be just right, you know. I think it's going to be good, just right. And I think it is lighter than the Hemi, and I think that's going to make a big difference. So it'd be interesting to see what happens there, wouldn't it, with that? But what do you think? Is it changing your mind a little bit about that Thunderbird, Thunderbolt? Sorry. I like it. I like the look of it. I think from certain angles it looks a bit dodgy. I think, but the rear, when you look at the rear with those twin lights, isn't that cool? Doesn't that look good? You know, nice design, but you can see straight where they, you know, you can really see the DNA of it in that YEZDI's bike. I don't know what YEZDI's, I presume it's another like Jawa Eastern Bloc. Is it make YEZDI's? I'm not really sure. Sounds like it, doesn't it? And we have no experience of it in the UK. We do have Jawa back in the day, but not modern ones. But there you are, just a quick quick bonus video about that Bsa Thunderbolt. I'm quite interested in that bike. That's why I'm going to hold off for next year when I purchase another one, to see if that's available, and that might scratch my my adventure bike itch, because I think it'd be really interesting if it's going to be as cheap as I think it's going to be, to really be aggressive into the market like the Bantam was. But we shall see. We shall see. Right, there you are. I'll see you next time. Take care, everybody. Look after yourselves.